Hello and welcome back to Classic Games Done Quick. We are heading on over to the next speed run, which is Faxanadu by Slackanater, and I believe there are some commentators here to introduce the run for you, so go for it.
I have a feeling I should go first, or rather, I'm expected to go first. I'm Shiner. I've been running this game for 10 years. You could say I know a few things about this game.
It sounds like Shiner cut out there, so I'll take over, I guess.
It does.
I am Tundra. I have been running this game for about 8 months, and until recently, I was in second until Slackanater came and took it back. So you guys are in for a real treat here.
I'm Invariel. I've been playing this game since I was 7. This game is fantastic. I am the guy that did the most recent tasks, building off of the shoulders of all of the giants that came before, and I love this game.
And I think with that, we're pretty much ready to get going with the countdown here.
Sure, whenever.
Right, I think Slackanator asked me to do it because of his audio issues, so I'll give us a countdown from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start.
All you. Good luck, Slack.
Yeah, so it's a little 11-second intro cutscene, and there's actually a skip coming up right at the start of the game. There's an invisible box hanging in the foreground that if you hit it, you'll get a dialogue box explaining the exposition of the game. And it looks like Slackanator hit it. It's pretty difficult. It's a pixel-perfect jump, but if you nail it, it saves 12 seconds. So I'll just kind of paraphrase what it says. You play as this guy in a bathrobe who comes back to his hometown and it's all wrecked, and so he has to figure out what happened. It's a pretty depressing situation, so we're just gonna commit a death warp so we respawn with full health and magic. And we gotta talk to this guy in church anyway, so it just saves time.
It is really convenient that dying puts you in the last place that you got a password from, and if you didn't get a password, you go here.
Yeah, this guru gives us a special ring. There's a couple of doors in this game that give the very confusing message, "Do you need a ring to open a door?" Question mark. And you do need this ring of elf to go into the king's castle, and you talk to the king, he'll get you filled in on the situation and give you 1,500 gold if you walk up to him with exactly 0. So, if you're routing this game, yeah, it is gold, just like Monster Rancher, that's correct. So, if you talk to the king with exactly 0 golds, if you go to the shops and you spend exactly 1,500 and come back, you get this long dialogue again, and you get 1,500 more golds. So if you're routing this game, you can either do the 2-king route, where you talk to the king twice, or I believe Slack is going to do a 1-king route that'll involve a meticulous grinding strategy once we get to the 3rd town of Forepaw.
He did say he was going to do that.
Yeah,
Also,
and it looks like he did lose his walk speed, which is something that we haven't really talked about. So in this game, it takes 96 frames to get to your full movement speed, which is about half to 2/3 of the screen. So you want to try to hold that movement speed throughout the entire time, and you lose it by attacking on the ground, hitting the enemy with the sword, or just not holding your direction button in between menuing like in the shop here, which you'll see.
Getting hit, of course,
moving
lose walk speed.
as we're moving vertically while wing boots are active.
Oh yeah, we'll get into wing boot physics later.
Alright, just covering all the bases.
Oh yeah. I actually called this game Boots as a kid because wing boots were so central to it.
Yeah, wing boots are their own entire tutorial video.
I'm holding wing boots. I'm holding wing boots.
Holding the L. But yeah, I guess it wasn't obvious, but if you want to do 2-king route, what you do in the tool shop is you buy a red potion and then sell it. Things sell for 50% of whatever they sell for in the current shop. So by buying a red potion for 160 and then selling it for 80, that's how you burn off the leftover 80 gold. I think these prices were chosen deliberately by the developers so the game could be tested more efficiently, more expeditiously, if you will. So yeah, the stuff we bought here, dagger's gonna be our basic weapon. Your fist does 0 damage. It has no hitbox, so we need a weapon. Deluge is our magic attack. You can have one magic element, one magic shot on screen at a time by pressing up and B. Dagger does 5 damage and Deluge does 6, and these hopping one-armed enemies you see here have 11 HP, so you can conveniently kill them with a dagger plus a Deluge. Basically, you kind of like press A, B, and up all at the same time to sort of jump and attack and shoot a Deluge all at the same time, and I arrogantly named this the Shiner Strike, and it stuck, I guess.
I mean, when you are the primary person running the game, you can name it whatever you want. One thing that you will not see Slack doing, because you can't see the buttons he's pressing, is Slack will be trying to jump screen transitions or not, and that is the only thing that I've found that affects the very limited RNG in this game.
Yeah, that's true. The hopping skull enemies basically hop either left or right, at least when you first enter the screen, and then they kind of hop towards you. And yeah, I believe the game's RNG reads your controller input as a bit mask, or is only looking at the A button in particular. So by holding the A button while entering into a new screen, you can influence RNG a little.
You can actually do it at some point after they land, but that's probably a little trickier to do in time than tasks.
Yeah, it's looking for the A button when the enemy makes the decision, like on the specific frame. So for our purposes, you can just be holding the A button. In order to jump, like, you can't, like, negative edge the A button in order to jump, but yeah, you just have to let go and press again. It's pretty easy to do, really. So what we're doing here, there's an item hiding on this second screen inside this tower. Normally you have to go, like, way to the end and fight this big scary wyvern to get a Matic, but there's a Matic hiding on this screen. There's a couple of these hidden item rooms throughout the game, and there's a counter, there's a single counter in memory that measures how many times you've visited any of these screens. So this is the first one we can find in the game, so we just have to walk onto it, and the Matic will be there on the 4th visit. Later on, there's different screens that have hidden items, but you may, well, we haven't really gone up or down yet, but you'll see that, you know, when you move left-right to leave a screen, there's like a slow, sluggish screen transition, but if you go up or down on a ladder or into a town, the screen transition is much faster, so this is a faster way to build up visits. This screen is called Fight Club. The Slack had a pretty good Fight Club there, getting both of those enemies in the corner. He also had some good damage boosts earlier, by the way. Oh, we missed he got the enemy to jump left. If you kill that enemy quickly, you can climb up on the ladder such that your head gets stuck in where the ledge is, and then when you get hit by the ghost as it's flying by, the Faxanadu, as I call him, will be put into a neutral state. Oh, he missed the pixel perfect jump over Pizza Head. The pizza perfect jump. That's a tough one. But yeah, you can jump up a ladder.
There's a question in chat here by Iced1138 asking, to speak to the priest and change your title. The title in the game actually affects how much ointment, wing boot time, and hourglass time you get. Also glove time, but that doesn't really matter. And it actually starts at a higher number when your title is lower. So the first title, novice, question mark? The default title?
Yeah, novice is the first title. Then you become an aspirant at 1,000 experience.
Right.
Yeah, the experience points are your breakpoints for titles, and as you get a higher title, you also respawn with more gold. So doing this grind here ends up saving time because we become an aspirant, as opposed to the 2 King route, which only gets about 700 experience by the time you talk to the guru in Fort Paw. So Slack's almost done his grind here. Should be doing, I think he's got 1 left to go. Maybe he's going to do a quick kill with 3 deluges. No, he's just sticking by the same strategy here. So yeah, I start. Oh, that's right. He's probably managing health as well. Probably just playing it safe for a marathon, because this game can be pretty unforgiving if you die when you're not supposed to. There's a lot of death warping to cut travel time in this game. But if you die when you're not supposed to, it's a big setback.
A little bit. That grind that he did is actually a strategy within the past couple of weeks. You traditionally use what the task does, jumping over the panda/mage, stabbing it, and Slack was thinking about this, went to sleep, woke up, and decided, what if it comes to me? Is that faster? And it turns out to be faster and safer because you can kill the bat for food every single time.
Yeah, the contingencies are better. Basically, I'm copying Lord Tom's previous tasks. I think Invariel does some similar but flashier looking
same thing. I do
right?
the same thing.
Yeah, so if you can imitate the tasks well enough, then it's faster. But Slack discovered a much more reliable and like generalized strategy. Like the average outcome is way better than my strat. Where I'm trying to imitate the task, and I have contingencies if I mess up. But Slackanator's new strat that has the persistent damage boost there, like I said, you'll consistently finish the grind in under a minute.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And right now he's doing what we call wing boot extensions. So what we do is every 64 frames when your wing boots are active, the game attempts to remove a second from the counter. If your game is paused or in a menu on that frame, it can't remove the counter, or the timer second, sorry. And so we try to extend that as long as we can to save picking up extra wing boots and extra wing boot time and extra like, text boxes.
That 64 frame timer is shared by all of the time items in, but I think only the wing boots and maybe the hourglass. The hourglass has sound though. Use the timer at the top. Ointment definitely doesn't.
Yeah, the T in the HUD up there is only for wing boots, I believe.
Yeah, but I've actually found a little bit of a way on the Wyvern boss grind to extend your ointment without the timer being visible, in case you kind of fall behind in your grind.
Yeah, I was the first person to research wing boot extensions. Basically, I was inspired by Lord Tom's tasks, and it did contribute to when I first submitted my run to SDA. So at the time of actual classic games done quick, Breakdown had the record with 36 minutes, and then I came out with a 30:14. I did have some wing boot extension strats, but nothing this extensive like we're seeing from Slack. He's only got 5 left on the timer. We're taking some big breaths, as I call it, some long pauses to make sure that timer freezes. 2 seconds left. Should be able to get out of here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like he fell out of sync a little bit at the end.
Yeah, he has to talk to this guy to give up his elixir, which is an item that'll automatically revive your health and magic to full if you take Fatal Blow. But you need it to heal the second spring here. And then after that, we're going to Death Warp and get back to Forepaw. I think the bees aren't going to do enough damage. He's going to have to fall. Oh, there.
Oh, no.
So
lost 4 seconds for the power of the wing boost
yeah.
dialogue.
Yep. That's fine. There's backup strat time in this estimate. Don't have negative thoughts. Remember your mantra.
Oh, Slack's gonna buy the Queen Key after the grind. Okay. So yeah, just outside of Forepaw here, this is also a hidden item screen. On third visit, there's going to be a power-up called Ointment, which will make you invincible for either 40 or 50 in-game seconds. I'm not really sure because, like we said, it doesn't appear on the HUD up top there. It is on the same universal countdown timer that Winged Boots use, however. In case anyone asked in chat, like, hey, if it's every 64 frames, why not set a metronome to 225 BPM and then pause every 4 beats? And that is the correct math for it. However, it doesn't work in practice because when you touch a screen boundary, that internal timer is set to a value of 0 out of 255, like it goes up by 1 every frame. So what ends up happening is, you know, the timer hits 0, the screen starts scrolling, and then you appear in the new screen and the internal timer's at 80 or something. So what you really need is actually a visual cue on most screens to know like when the earliest pause is. If you're going to stay in one screen forever, then yeah, the metronome will help you, but we're speedrunning, we're trying to get around fast.
There you go, 2 people in chat. Well, 1 person in chat is now.
They asked it because I asked it for them. So yeah, we're using Ointment because it makes us invincible. If you have a shield, you can actually still get hit by magic attacks like this Wyvern is shooting, so that's a good reason why we never get a shield in the speedrun. It's possible to kill 5 Wyverns with this Ointment time here and get a lot of money. You also don't get very much experience either, which can be... If you optimize really hard, if we get to the next town, or next guru, yeah, next guru in the next town of Victim, if we have less than 2200 experience, we can avoid getting a title, which means the guru will just give us a password and we can press B to skip the dialogue. That'll save us some seconds, but becoming a battler is not that bad, really.
When I was working on the task, I immediately forgot everything about how this game worked and left town like 30 seconds after Lord Tom, and I was like, why am I so far behind? Before remembering that you can hit B to cancel out of the shop dialogue.
Oh yeah, thank you for
That
chocolate.
was
Right.
yes, yes, all of that. It's like, wait a second, I'm forgetting how to play this game. Equipping the Q key and grabbing ointment again, right? No?
Grabbing the Slack snack, I like that. That was a good example of. See how when the ghost drive by, it pushed Slack into the wall while he was on the ladder, and then went into a neutral standing state. He was able to press A and jump, and then climb up the rest of the ladder, and also attack. Basically, able to do anything that the Faxanadu can do in a standing moveset. Alright, now we're into the second part of the game, the Mist World, it's called, where the music gets really spooky, turns into G harmonic minor, has some cool foreground layers that are pretty technically advanced for the NES. Oh, nice ladder rejump by...
And I 100% consider this section the hardest section of the game.
Yeah.
I consider it my favorite section of the game. Do you want to talk about the 4 different sections of the game?
Well, maybe we'll just kind of talk about them one at a time as we go along.
That's fair.
Yeah, Mist section is probably the longest section of the game, and it's rather confusing and extremely bewildering and hostile compared to the rest of the game. I think this is... Most people don't get much further than this if they're playing casually.
I would argue that World of Branch is the more confusing of the two, but World of Trunk, the first part of the game, is the easiest. It's very straightforward. There's nothing to distract you. Mist has a few different places you can get to and a couple of dungeons that are completely worthless. And then I would argue that Branch is just a confusing maze of I'm lucky I managed to get anywhere.
Yeah, Branch is pretty linear as well.
And speaking of useless dungeons, there is a dungeon in the Mist with the item called the Pendant, which is broken. It's supposed to make your attacks more powerful, but because of a coding error, you start with that enhancement already on your character. So you don't get that, otherwise it will flip the flag, and you'll now be weaker after collecting the item that's supposed to make you stronger.
Yeah, it permanently lowers your sword power. It's pretty funny. So this is a tense part of the game right here. This is the area I call Ultimate Flight Plan. So Slackanater uses wing boots way on the ground there. And if you're good enough at pausing the timer for wing boot extensions, you can get all the way into the steep dungeon that we're heading to, and Death Warp all on a single pair of wing boots. I think Slackanater's going to go for it with 2, but there'll still be pauses along the way to save time.
Shiner is the only person that is good enough to do it with 1 pair of wing boots.
I don't have sound on, but it looked like he just paused in the apologies to everyone's ears.
Yeah, so for those who are like, hey, the music is skipping, what's happening is Slackanater's pressing start twice, like, you know, as fast as he can. Like, the smallest amount of time you can give up is 3 frames. You know, to pause the game notices the next frame, then you unpause. I don't think a human runner will ever get that close or that precise, but that's the goal. This game has a great soundtrack, but unfortunately we have to mar it a little bit with wing boot extensions. So we also needed to get a lot of money on the way to Victim here to get these 3 king keys. This is how many we need to finish the game. You might think, you know, experts might say, wait, don't you need 4 to get the battle helmet? We actually don't need the battle helmet. The trigger for getting the Ring of Dwarf to get to the 4th section of the game, you just need the battle suit in your inventory. So if you're not interested in using the strongest sword in the game, then you can give up the battle helmet. And that's good for a speedrun, because then we would need 1,500 more golds, and the Dragon Slayer wouldn't even help that much in the final battle anyway. Our magic does most of the heavy lifting for us.
It's also good because the battle helmet is a shield, and so while you're trying to go through bosses with ointments on, they can be slapping you in the face with magic, literally, and killing you.
I don't think it works that way, does it? I know it's in your shield slot, but really? It makes like the different hit sound effect and everything? Whoa.
Yeah.
Today I... Oh yeah, and for those wondering how Slack is able to ascend that ladder so quickly, it's a complicated thing called ladder rejumping. Another confusing thing about wing boot physics is it allows you to climb up and down ladders faster, which is good and all, but found you can go even faster than that. Basically, by pressing A and holding A, then you double tap up, like just press up and let go of it as quick as you can. You'll fly a little bit with wing boots, but because you're still holding A and gliding, or potentially flying, you'll go into a new standing state on the ladder and be able to jump again. There should be another one right here.
Magic and sword, Mellow Solro. Magic and sword.
There is ointment in this dungeon as well, but it's on 4th visit, and our visits are not synced up for that. We'd have to re-enter that screen 4 times. And since we got a death warp out of here anyway, there's not that much point.
Yeah, and on the final boss, you can actually just mash magic to kill him and not use your sword at all. It is more or less the same speed.
Oh my goodness, he notched the boss! Oh no! He attacked a little early and the boss broke out of the corner. That's so unfortunate. I was gonna say, Slackanater's going in here with lots of health. He could probably survive a hit from the boss. Went down there to Magic Pixel. And this is what I mean right here. If you die when you're not supposed to, it's pretty costly. So, but it's not that bad to recover. We just gotta spend a couple minutes farming for one more king key. And then we can get our wing boots again on the way back to the Black Onyx dungeon.
She started with 1,000 gold, I think that was?
800.
800 is how much you spawn when you're a battler. Okay, so becoming a battler actually saves time in this case.
Well, yes.
This is probably one of the least punishing spots to die, though.
Yeah, I think dying on the way to Battlesuit is far worse, because you have to walk all the way back to Victim and buy the King Key, and then die to respawn in Conflict.
That's right, he did pick up the extra pair of wing boots, so he's sort of even on that. He just has to get back to the one screen with the 2 crickets.
Yeah, I was wondering why Slack took so much magic. He's got to remember to get wing boots on the way, because he needs to fly up after getting the Black on.
Which means he also needs to know where his count is right now, which I believe
it should be 3rd visit.
1. Yeah, so this would be 2, 3, and yeah, so it should be this visit he's going in now.
Yeah, it can be awkward to fight while flying because, you know, you press up to ascend, but you also have to press up B to attack. Whenever my wing boots are active in this game, I switch my stance for how I'm holding my controller. I put it in my lap and play it like an arcade stick, because I need to press the start button to pause, and the B button to attack, and the A button to fly. I guess we can talk about wing boot physics a little bit, because right now Slack is just going to be like walking straight ahead, like left or right. So when we talked about walk speed at the beginning of the game, just like in Zelda 2, the Faxanadu isn't moving at full speed immediately. I think you lose about a second if you lose your walk speed. Even if you get damage boosted forward from full walk speed, it ends up being a net loss of 10 frames. And wing boots can also take away your walk speed. If you ever ascend with wing boots on, your speed drops to 0. Like you see, Slack keeps going up and down. Oh, the wyvern almost flew into him, guys.
Well, it looks like he's going to be going with the longer strats to kill the boss here with the no wing boots, and it looks like he's going to fall.
Yeah, you can take it.
Oof.
That's a tricky jump. I saw him hesitate. Like, make sure you get enough walk speed.
Yeah. He didn't get hit by the frog, so that's good. I don't know what names you have for these. I just have the childhood names I made up.
With this much magic, the boss should be a while.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, this boss only has 117 HP. The longsword does 10 damage, but with good enough mashing, you can just stun lock these big enemies.
If you think this game is great right now, you know, just wait till the branch is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, this game is really ahead of its time in terms of graphics. I think it's like the Dark Souls of the NES in terms of how detailed the background textures are.
And in terms of how quickly you die if you get hit by stuff. But, you know...
And in terms of how brutal falling is. there's no gravity like this game on the NES. Even Metal Storm, where you can go up and down, walk on the ceiling at will, you still don't fall as quickly as you do in this game.
Yes, I also pronounced it Faxanadu.
I'm pretty sure everybody calls it Faxanadu.
Yeah, although the game's a portmanteau of Famicom Xanadu, because it's basically a remake of a PC game that the company made. I don't know too much of the lore.
D-Nice is asking how old the game is. I believe the Japanese release was 1987, if I remember correct.
Yeah, I think this game came out in 87.
The title screen says 88, which is why I typed that in chat, but I am happy to be wrong.
Yeah, Yeah, Slack's got to keep the wing boost going here. You can get to... Coming up is something I call the impossible poison jump. There's this bottle of poison on a ledge, which is just impossible to not touch if you don't have wing boost going. You don't need any wing boot extensions to get over.
Here's the thing, it is impossible to jump up without wing boots.
Oh really? You tasked it?
Of course I did.
Good stuff, Invariel.
I've wondered that all of my life.
So you
Again, we got
need
these
the
foreground
wing
layer.
boot to jump over it?
Yep. You need that extra bit of height.
I mean, the enemies on that screen and the screen after give you health, so it's really not a big deal in terms of game design. There's some nice damage boosts on our way into Conflate here. You know, we get pushed left barely at all into the ledge, and then we get pushed forward, so it's a net gain forward here. There should be a nice trick getting through here. You basically use magic to push this one guy out of the way, so you'll shoot a shot left, and then the one that you walk through will shoot you from behind to push you through, and then you use the iframes and the damage boost to walk through. It's very nice.
And if you weren't listening, that is exactly what Slackanater did to get through that route.
Yeah, so what we're doing here, we're on our way to get the battle suit. Again, just kind of the MacGuffin we need to get the correct ring. The Dragon Slayer does 20 damage, but our longsword does 10. The last two bosses in the game have 250 HP. But right before we get the battle suit, we're also going to get this upgrade called the Magical Rod. That'll make our magic 50% stronger, so our deluge is going to start doing 9 damage instead of 6. Yeah. Oh, Slackanator did a thing I call the Chaos Drop. Runner called Chaos Finale came up with that, where you just stop right before walking down the ledge there to go to initial walk speed, and instead of falling down and hitting the bird, you land just in front of it so you can jump over. Although Chaos Finale says he saw someone else do it. I forget who. I still call it the Chaos Drop, because I saw Chaos Finale do it first.
Yeah, and Chaos is in the chat right now.
Yeah, I saw him there. Shoutouts.
There are a number of other spells in the game, but no, it's game. Getting the 3,000 there is and go all the way out of the way to get fire is not worth it. Thunder is pointless. Death is
Expensive.
Tilt is expensive and pointless. Remembering that you have to spend gold to buy things, gold counts down or up at 1 frame per 10 gold. So it's like 300 frames, 5 seconds to buy fire.
Yeah, like you need the money, and we've all seen how horribly slow the shop interface is in this game. It's probably the worst. It's even worse than Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest of your choice. You have to sit there and do the whole dialogue every time, buying things one at a time, long dialogue boxes, and that's why it's. Go
ahead.
Oh yeah, like that's why the new, more accessible One King route is so good, because you spend less time shopping, less time in boring dialogue boxes.
Yeah, I think the text is, what, 1 character every 4 frames?
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
I was gonna say, I kind of ran I made up a 100% run of this game as a joke, and I actually did use Death, but I haven't actually damage tested the other spells in terms of MP cost compared to how much damage they do, but most of the spells in this game are just a projectile that goes straight ahead. Tilted is the only one that isn't, and its usefulness is questionable. I mean, Deluge seems to have pretty good, like, DPS, like, MP to damage trade-off ratio. There's no reason to try other magic.
I find Tilt is pretty much only useful against the Dragon Slayer boss, really.
Nice ladder reset there to jump up and get the Pinecone. Anyway, I actually watched all of Classic Games Done Quick. I mentioned before we went live I was going to talk about the speed lore for this game, and this section will be a little relaxed, so I guess I'll just go through that quickly. I guess I was the first person to ever have a run of this game, like to have WR. I kind of had this like Let's Play level run, quality of run that was like 47 minutes, and at the time Walker Bow's task was about 30 minutes, 30-12 or something. And so Breakdown got the first run on SDA with his 36-14, and he also ran it at Classic Games Done Quick, and I believe he got a 39-something or 38-something. Yeah, Lord Tom's task came out next, and that's what gave me some ideas for my run. That was 30-14, I believe. Slack's showing off some new strats actually outside of Daybreak here that are pretty clean. I'm liking these. Oh, he got the tip of his sword connected there, and he lost walk speed right at the end. But that's still faster than the strat I always did.
That is another door that Slack just went through that you require to get into.
Yeah,
is that one, or is it the
it is that one. You need the Ring of Dwarf, that green ring we got from the special guru in Conflate. Oh yeah, and yeah, everyone in chat talking about the bee boost. The first screen outside of Daybreak there, where there was 2 skeletons and some bees flying around, basically you have to take 1 hit from the skeleton, and then as you're walking forward, the skeleton and the bee are like on top of you at the same time. And right now I have not figured out how to consistently get hit by the bee, which does a lot less damage than the skeleton, but Slack got hit by the skeleton there, and that's really good news for managing health in this section.
No, I got hit by the bee, you mean?
Yeah, you got hit by the bee. Oh, it did the other strat here. It came up with a new strat for that screen too, if you had wing boots active, but
yeah,
he's gonna use them a little bit later, make it a little easier.
He'll use that in the final run. The victory lap.
These boots save so much time. Instead of going up and around several screens worth of maze nonsense, you just and access this door. It's so
it's only like 2 screens above, but it's like 4 screens worth of walking.
The next boss fight is also pretty much impossible without wing boots active as well.
Yes. Yes. The next boss
Unless
is
you
kind
have
of a pain.
in the field.
Slack getting some pausing in there too. You want a little bit of extra time. You need to get a couple pauses if you want a death warp before getting that power of the wing boots is gone dialogue box.
Which, again, as a dialogue box, it takes time to show up and read. Can't be cancel out of it. On entering this room, ointment time became 0.
Yeah, we
have ointment right now, though.
Yeah, that's why we can't just abuse ointment for boss fights. They thought of that. Also noticed Slackanater fired a shot. Yeah, that was nice and fast.
No, it's
that might be worth reviewing. That might be the fastest King Grieve kill ever. But yeah, it's also possible you want to shoot a deluge at the start of the fight, not just for free damage, but also because if you hit King Grieve on exactly the correct frame, you'll get one of his 4 shots that he shoots at the beginning of the fight to go right instead of left, and it leaves the screen sooner, and it makes the game lag a lot less, and you'll save a second. It's pretty obscure, but it's nice if it happens.
It's actually kind of funny and kind of ironic. Every boss in the game shuts off the ointment when you enter the screen, except for the final boss.
Oh.
Nice, got out of there with 2 seconds left on the clock.
Table death warp?
Yeah, shoutouts to Havoc Prodigy for coming up with talking to the guru in the last town of Dartmoor here. This saves a lot of time, and also it's much easier to fly from here rather than from inside Castle Fraternal to the end of the game.
Castle Fraternal is a really fun maze. What, 4x4 or something?
Oh, the Evil One's Fortress, yeah, it's a weird like 4x4 looping grid, but the connectivity is actually broken and non-Euclidean. Like there's a screen where you fall down, but if you have wing boots up and you fly back up into it, you end up somewhere else. The pointers are a little bit wrong. Yeah, we're gonna go overestimate a little bit because of the death before Black Onyx.
So, Shana, would you like to do the time countdown when it comes, Shana?
Yeah, time is going to be when the music changes after the final boss finishes blowing up. You know, the guy will freeze, and we'll get some new music, so time's coming up pretty soon. We're just going to use ointment and be invincible and slaughter this boss in the corner in a matter of seconds. My time should be right about... not quite yet.
Time has happened already.
Nice, you got to talk to the king before his wing boots ran out too. You walked all the way back to the very first town. Kept those wing boots going. Though that's some real extending right there. Wing boot extending outside of a cutscene that isn't even...
Yep. That was a solid run. Good job, Slack.
Yeah. Good composure too. Like just... even though there was the death of Black Onyx, that was the only really big mistake. Everything else was really solid. Great demonstration of a great speed.
Yep, and now you get to not see the credits because this game doesn't have.
And for anybody that's wondering why Slackanater was not in chat, he has mic issues when transmitting over Discord like this.
Well, thank you all so much for taking over commentary for Slack. And Slack, if you're listening, you did a great job, so thank you so much. Coming up next, we have Rygar, so stay tuned, everyone, and we will be back in a moment.